Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into a classic. We're exploring the story of Tấm Cám. It's an enduring, beautiful tale that originates from a small village in Vietnam. Let's go ahead and dive right in.
So, have you ever heard Vietnam's version of Cinderella? As we unfold this narrative today, you are absolutely going to recognize a very universal storyline. We've got a gentle, hardworking young girl, we have a cruel stepmother who heavily favors her own child, and of course, ultimately, we have a magical lost shoe that literally changes the course of an entire kingdom. It is so fascinating how completely different cultures across the globe have developed these parallel stories to teach very similar lessons. This is Vietnam's take on that timeless classic, just with its own distinct cultural heartbeat.
All right, let's begin by introducing our core cast of characters. The whole story really centers on two sisters, Tam and Cam. Now, they live together under the exact same roof, but they honestly couldn't be more different from one another. Just think about the emotional reality of sharing a home with people who treat you poorly. For our protagonist, home isn't a place of comfort at all. Instead, it's a place of constant hardship and incredibly unequal treatment. The story sets up these two sisters on fundamentally different paths right from the very first sentence.
The contrast between the two girls is just striking. On one hand, you have Tam, gentle, incredibly hardworking, basically the absolute engine of the household. She cooks, she cleans, and she does the grueling, back-breaking labor out in the muddy rice fields. Then, on the complete opposite side, you have her stepsister, Cam, who is explicitly lazy and selfish. But the real driver of this toxic ecosystem is the cruel stepmother. She fiercely loves and favors the lazy Cam, while actively punishing and mistreating the hardworking Tam. It immediately makes you want to root for Tam to just catch a break, right?
Well, this incredibly unfair dynamic is put to the ultimate test one day. The cruel stepmother orders both of the girls to go down to the river for a fishing competition, and she offers a nice reward to whoever manages to catch the most fish. Now, on the surface, this sounds like a pretty simple task, but with these stakes, it's really a chance to see exactly how each sister approaches a challenge when a prize is actually on the line. The big question is, will honest hard work win out, or is deception going to take the lead?
You can clearly see how this day unfolds. While Tam spends hours doing the grueling labor to secure a massive catch of fish, Cam treats the entire morning and afternoon like a total vacation. She completely avoids work, she just plays near the river, and she catches absolutely nothing. But rather than just accepting defeat, Cam waits for the perfect moment of betrayal. In the evening, when Tam isn't looking, Cam actually steals her entire catch and runs back home to claim the reward all for herself. I mean, the audacity of it is just heartbreaking. Tam did everything right, yet she's the one left empty-handed. So left sitting all alone by the edge of the river, Tam is just crying sadly. She's been robbed of her hard work and her well-deserved reward. But it's precisely in this moment of total despair that the magic of the story finally introduces itself. Out of nowhere, a kind old fairy appears to her, offering these incredibly comforting words. "Do not cry, Tam. I will help you." This isn't just a simple plot device. It's almost like the universe stepping in when human fairness completely fails. When the mortal world is just too unjust for the righteous to succeed on their own, well, the magical world steps in to level the playing field. To comfort her, the fairy leaves Tam with a rather unique magical gift, a small golden fish. And this becomes a profound symbol of hope for Tam. She loves this little fish deeply and finds real solace in talking to it every single day. She finally has this tiny sliver of joy that belongs only to her. But as we know in fairy tales, happiness is basically a magnet for villains. The cruel stepmother ends up discovering Tam's secret, and in an act of truly staggering pettiness, she doesn't just take the fish away. She literally cooks her stepdaughter's only friend for dinner. It is a wildly dark, shocking level of cruelty. With her only friend gone, Tam is in tears once again. The cruelty she faces just seems completely endless. However, the fairy actually returns that very night. But instead of just replacing the fish, the fairy delivers a really powerful, inspiring message to our protagonist. She says, "Be brave, Tam. Good things will come to kind people." This is essentially a demand for resilience. The fairy is telling Tam, and really us as the audience, that suffering is temporary. Her inherent kindness is a deep investment that will eventually pay off, just as long as she remains brave. And that hope and bravery, they are desperately needed, because the stakes of the story are about to expand way beyond that small family home. You see, the king announces a massive, joyous festival at the royal palace, and incredibly, everyone in the village is invited. This is Tom's big chance to escape her daily drudgery, dress up, and actually experience some real joy for once. But, true to form, the cruel stepmother intervenes. While Cam is allowed to gleefully prepare for all the festivities, the stepmother traps Tam at home, basically burying her under an impossible mountain of chores so she couldn't possibly attend. But the fairy intervenes yet again, setting off this frantic, truly magical night. Around 6 p.m., just when all hope seems lost, magic bypasses the stepmother's cruelty entirely, providing Tam with a breathtakingly beautiful dress and a pair of shiny shoes. By 8 p.m., Tam arrives at the festival, and her inner kindness is finally matched by her outward appearance. The prince actually notices her immediately. But there is a ticking clock here. The magic has a real sense of urgency. Tam has to flee to return home before she gets discovered. And at 11:30 p.m., in her panicked, breathless rush to beat the clock, she accidentally leaves one of those shiny shoes behind.
And as you might guess, that single lost shoe becomes the absolute key to Tam's salvation. What follows is a sweeping resolution of romantic and karmic justice. The smitten prince initiates this massive, countrywide search to find the girl who can fit into the shiny shoe. Against all the odds, and cutting right through the stepmother's likely interference, it's beautifully inevitable that he finds Tam. She tries on the shoe, and of course, it fits perfectly. Elevating her from a life of servitude, Tam marries the prince and goes on to live happily in the palace. Meanwhile, Cam and the cruel stepmother, they're left to feel the heavy, unavoidable shame of their bad actions. Justice is finally served.
So what does this all mean? The story of Tom and Cam really doesn't leave its moral up for interpretation. It explicitly states that kindness, honesty, and hard work will always shine brighter than jealousy and greed. It serves as this powerful cultural teaching tool. It reinforces the idea that no matter how much people like Cam and the stepmother try to cheat, steal, or bully their way to success, the enduring, shining qualities of honest labor and a kind heart will absolutely win out in the end. For sure. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about the fishing contests in your own life today. You know, when someone else cheats to get ahead, or when the world tries to fry your golden fish of hope. Do you let it turn you cruel, or do you have the bravery to keep your kindness completely intact until the shoe finally fits? Think on that for a bit. Thank you so much for joining me to explore the beautiful and really enduring story of Tam and Cam.